Hey everybody, it's Jason from C Squared Racing, and today we've got another video in our career development series. And today the focus is going to be, as you might be able to see from the right-hand side of the screen, sponsorship proposals. We did an earlier video on sponsorship relationships, and if you haven't checked that out, I'll put a link to it down in the description, and then if you have a browser that supports it, I'll put a link up somewhere up here. But essentially, that got into how to go about dealing with sponsors and what you needed to know about having sponsorship relationships. But what we didn't talk about in that video was how to go about establishing those relationships in the first place. How do you make that initial contact, and how do you get the message across to a sponsor, a potential sponsor, that you're worth being in business with? And that's what we're going to talk about today. The way you're going to make your essentially your introduction and your audition to a company to say, hey, please, become one of my sponsors, join our team, is you're going to give them a proposal. There's not a lot out there that talks about how to go about making that introduction, how to go about creating a proposal and reaching out to a company, and what they need to know, what you need to tell them, and what works and what information needs to be included, things like that. A lot of people think you just send them an email or a letter with how well you've done in races, your resume, so to speak. But that's not necessarily what companies are interested in. And that's what we want to talk about today. I've actually developed a template. You'll see it's very simple. But if people reach out to me and say, hey, I need help doing a proposal, this is what we send them. And if anybody wants a copy of this, please go ahead and message me at any of the contact information that we have included in the description. They're essentially social media contacts. Just direct message me or the team on any of those contacts, and we'll email you out a copy of this proposal. I don't know how to just put it online so you can download it directly. I'm sure that's possible. I'm not that internet savvy. If anybody wants to put in the comments the step-by-step process for how to do that, we'd be more than happy to make it available. There's no trade secrets here. This isn't something that we've come up with on our own. This is something that we've learned from dealing with sponsorship experts, marketing experts, and talking to other drivers. In fact, the very first proposal I ever made, I really didn't know what I was doing. I just sort of took a shot at it, based it on some stuff that I did when I was in college, because we had a race team that I was a member of when I was in college, and we had a marketing team on that, a sub team, and they made a proposal to get sponsorship for that, and I just sort of copied that a little bit, and it was pretty good. I ran it by someone who was a professional racer. I won't mention his name, but he's had a very successful career, and he's had a lot of success at not only being sponsored, but staying with the same company over time, which is something I really have a lot of respect for. And he actually looked through the proposal that I created page by page, and told me to make a few changes here and there. And between that and some guidance that we got from some marketing experts, some people who had dealt with sponsorship on the other side, who could say, this is from a company standpoint, this is what we want to see, we sort of redid it. And essentially that's how we got to this template that we have now. And it's basically stayed decent. We've been told this is a pretty good, by companies, we've been told that this is a pretty good proposal. It's important that certain pieces of information be in there, and that you're communicating from a certain perspective. And what we mentioned in the previous video on sponsorship is that you always want to be looking at sponsorship from the company's point of view. What's in it for them? One of the things that companies always complain about with racing drivers and teams coming to them for sponsorship is this hand out, gimme, gimme, gimme. I need help, give me money. It's very important not to come off as just, hat in hand asking for things. You're not a charity, and companies aren't there to give handouts. They're there. They have a limited amount of money that they can spend on marketing every year, and you have to make a case for why they should spend it on you and not spend it on an advertisement on TV or in a magazine or on another driver or some other form of marketing that they might find more effective. It's all about where they're going to get the best return from. It all starts with the proposal. So I have here on the screen one that's a generic proposal that we've created. It's what our 2020 proposals were based on. Each of them was tailored specifically to the company that we were reaching out to. And I can tell you just visually sort of how to go about giving each one a specific look for the company that you're talking to. You want the company to feel like you spent some time reaching out to them specifically and that you didn't just send copies of the same file out to everybody. And sometimes there's just small changes that can really add that personal touch that don't require you to spend a lot of time creating a whole new document every time that you've got to reach out to another company, because you're going to reach out to a lot of companies just to try and get a couple of deals made. It's tough. It's a tough economy. I'll tell you guys right off the bat, you're going to hear no a ton of times. That was some advice I got from that driver that reviewed our proposal. He said, you're going to hear no constantly. So don't get deterred. Always keep, be prepared to go to the next door, because the previous 10 are going to be slammed in your face, but the next one might be the person that says yes. So you have to be okay getting rejected. If you're someone who's going to get frustrated or discouraged the first couple of times you hear no, you're not going to get very far. And you have to go into it not expecting that somebody's going to hand you a big check that's going to pay for all your expenses. If you're an early career driver, a grassroots level driver, amateur level, you're going to be paying most of your bills on your own. That's just the reality. That's why we try and get new drivers into things like autocross or karting, things that are very inexpensive, because a lot of times it's family flipping the bill, or it's somebody flipping the bill based on a part-time job that they're doing. You're not going to get a company who's going to get a driver who's unproven and hand them a big check. That's just not going to happen. Most of the time it's going to be, we'll give you a discount on parts, we'll give you maybe some free service, some free equipment, something like that. And maybe if you're lucky, you'll get a check at some point. It does happen, but it's not something that you're probably going to get right off the bat. You're probably going to have to work your way into it. But to get anything, to even get your foot in the door, you have to have a good proposal. And even just having a proposal is a good start with a company. Just reaching out to them and saying, I'd like to send you, a copy of my proposal. That tells them that you're serious. That tells them that you've prepared, that you have something developed, that there is a plan, that this is not just something you're doing on a whim. And the better that proposal looks, the better it is, because the proposal is essentially your tryout. That's your audition. If the proposal looks good, that tells the company they present themselves well, they can maybe present us well. And if you can present that company's branding in your proposal, it gives them more confidence that you can present them as well too. And vice versa, if you screw that up, obviously it can kill the deal before it even starts. Okay, so as I said, we've got a version of the proposal on the screen. I also have, and we'll go through both of these, we'll flip back and forth, our template that I can actually make available to you. And the template will essentially give you the outline, but it's not you'll see it's very far from a complete document. But we'll go through the one that I actually sent out, and just to kind of show you a little bit about what this looks like. Right off the bat, you want the front to be eye-catching. You want it to be very graphically strong. You don't want it to just be text. So we've got some pictures of the various cars of the teams that we support. This was our 2020 lineup. We've got our logo big and bright. Again, make sure everything is high resolution, nice and sharp, colors are accurate. If your colors aren't right and the logos are blurry or pixelated, that's going to tell the company, hey, they don't even present their own brand very well. How can they present ours very, very well? What we would do on this cover page for different companies is that, you see, I kind of have a space here. I would leave the space for the company's logo. If I was sending something to, just to throw a name out there, a Napa or a Coca-Cola or whoever, or so-and-so's, towing company, whatever it is, you'd put their logo right here. And then we would actually change the color scheme. Some years I do the whole front page, some years I just do this bottom part, but we would change the color scheme in terms of the text color, the outline color, this color bar. I would change that to the company's colors to show them that, we can, again, focus on their brand. So if, say I was doing this for Napa, I would maybe change this text to a blue and yellow, or maybe have a big blue bar, something like that. And I would carry that color scheme throughout the proposal. If we go to, say, the first page where I have this bar and with our logo on it, I would have their logo next to it, and then I would change the bar to their company's color. Just little aesthetic touches like that say, this is for you. This is a specific tailored proposal. It's for you. We have you in mind, and we're, competent to present your brand in an attractive, stylish way. If you do it in the proposal, then you can do it in a Facebook post. So it's just a good way to show them that you can handle that. What I lead off with here at the beginning of the proposal is this introduction page. This might be the least important page. It's weird to say that the first thing they're going to see is the least important, and I'll explain why I say that. Companies get a lot of these proposals. They get a lot of requests. They don't have a lot of time to spend on each one, and so they're going to go through them pretty quickly. So what you see here is a lot of text. So we want to put important information in here so that if they want to take the time, they want to learn more about us, this will give them a little description of, what our last year was like and what our plans for the future are and things like that. It can be, think of it almost as a cover letter. But if you can write a cover letter to go with it, that's good. Keep it brief. Don't make it too wordy. Keep it to a page and don't make it too dense. It doesn't have to be even this long as what you see on this page. But that's just another good way to personalize it. But what we have here is just a general rundown of our team's year and what our plans are and things like that. They may never read this, so it's good to have it here in case they do read it, but be aware that what you're writing here may not get read. So the rest of the proposal has to do the job of explaining who you are and what you do without relying on this introduction page. What happens a lot of times is they want to flip forward to get to the real meat of the proposal. And so you end up doing it a lot with pictures. And we have here, instead of writing a bio for each person, we just have these nice attractive graphics. And we try and tell the story with pictures rather than words. We do have their names and what everybody drives. If they've won a championship, I have a little championship logo on the graphic that I do. But we don't get into bios. It's just, hey, we're a multi-car team. We're in lots of different kinds of racing. We've got men, we've got women, we've got adults, we've got kids. We're into a lot of stuff. Real quick, within a couple of seconds of looking at this page, they've already learned a lot of really important information about our team. Sports cars, endurance racing, imports, karting, a lot of information just to be gleaned at a quick glance. And that's what you want. So they're going to flip by this. They might only spend a second or two on this page. You got to make sure that you tell them that story in that second or two that they're looking at it. We have the wordy introduction to the team, but more likely than not, this might be the more impactful introduction. If I go back to the template, you'll see that that's the way our template's set up. We have a little introduction page, and again, you can set it up graphically however you want. And then we have, here's who our drivers are, and we have a little bit of a description on each page that gives you an idea of what you should put on that page. Of course, you can always refer back to this video to see what we did, but you may want to come up with your own unique look. You don't think you have to copy what we did. There's no one way to do it right. You want to do something that fits with your style. And then you see here the next section is the participation. So I'll show you what that looks like the way we did it. This is, again, there are some words here. We give a little bit of a description about what each of these different racing series are. But there's a good chance that the people you're talking to, they're going to know what dirt karting is. They're going to know what endurance racing is. They're going to know what road rally is. They don't necessarily have to read. If they want to read it, it's there. We make it available. But they can just look at these headings and they can say, okay, you're in a lot of different forms of racing here. That's good. So I've got a lot of different opportunities. And then we have these graphic tables. This one wasn't formatted properly because you can still see all the lines. Now, it just gives the rundown of how each of the drivers did in their specific classes and what their season results were, how they did in the points standings. So real quickly, they can look at this, and within a few seconds, they can get the information they need. I will say this. You start off initially kind of giving them the meat and potatoes about this is what we do. This is the kind of race team we are, and this is what our success is. At the end of the day, I'll be honest with you, that may not necessarily be the most important thing. And this is where, you can make your own decisions about maybe you want these sections in the back and some other sections pulled forward in the outline. I do it this way because I think it makes a smoother narrative to do the introduction and then get into the business side. But really, this is not the most important thing. A lot of these companies, especially at the level that if you're an amateur driver or grassroots team, your results are not necessarily as important as how effectively you're going to be at advertising the brand. So companies are going to care about things like, what's your exposure? How many people come to your events? If I put my name on the side of your car, how many people are going to see it? What do you do outside the track? What are your activities at the track, off the track? Are your events televised? Do you get magazine coverage? Things like that. That's the stuff that really is going to be more important, because a lot of people think winning is everything, and the fact of the matter is, if you win every race, but you're not a marketable person, you don't have a good personality, you're not outgoing, or just nobody ever really sees what you do, you're not active on social media, things like that, it's not going to matter whether you win or not. And then there are other people who maybe they don't win, but they're very engaging on social media. They go out and they do a lot of events outside the track. They have a lot of connections. They always make sure they go to events that there's a lot of spectators at, things like that. That driver may not be winning the races, but having branding on the side of that car is going to be more valuable than branding on the side of a car that wins, but nobody ever really sees it, or the driver or the team doesn't do a good job of promoting it. So this stuff is important to have. You have to have it in here. But again, this isn't necessarily what they're going to base their decision on. I'm going to flip over to the template. But the next part that we get into is the budget. And again, the budget's not necessarily the most important thing here, because it's not about what you need. It's really a company is going to invest in you as much as they think they can get out. You may need $1 million. If a company doesn't feel like it's worth $1 million, they're not going to offer you that. And that's what you need to understand about that in terms of what you're asking for. It really all depends on what you can give back to the company. That's what's going to determine what they're willing to give you. But it's important, I feel, this is my own personal opinion, that you want to substantiate your request. If you're going to ask for a big number, there ought to be something, just from a standpoint of transparency, that says, I don't want this money to go off and have expensive dinners or, buy myself luxury items. I really do need this for the team. And this page, having your budget, and we would have all these numbers filled out. We'd have a nice pie chart. It's not so much, they may not look at the screen a whole lot, but it's good that you show them that you're being transparent and that you can back up the request. If you say, hey, if I'm asking you for X amount of dollars for a level of sponsorship, there's a reason for it. It's, I actually do need this money for the team, and we're not asking for something that's not that's a different amount than what we're actually going to spend on the team. So I think it's just good for transparency. After that, you get into what really, to me, is important. What we have here is just a little description of what you need to include, like what kinds of marketing do you do? What types of events do you do? It's not just at the racetrack. Getting a good sponsor means that you're going to be promoting them more than just, you can't just slap a sticker on the side of the car and call it done. They want to know, are you going to talk about us on social media? Are you going to do appearances at companies and things like that? If you get a local dealership to sponsor you, are you going to be able to take that car to the dealership and show it off? Are you, we go to car shows a lot. One of the reasons we do go to car shows isn't so much because we want to win awards at car shows, but it gets the car amongst other car people, and a lot of the sponsors that we work with are automotive companies, and it gets them, visibility to a demographic that's, probably going to overlap a lot with their customer base. But this is where you're going to get into your social media statistics. Are you on YouTube? Are you on Twitch? Are you on Facebook, Instagram? Do you have a TikTok, profile? Things like that. Do people know who you are? So that if you go on social media and say, hey, I love this product, how many people are going to see that? That's going to be something that's very important to a company, to show them that there's going to be a return on that investment. For one, that you're going to do some hard work to earn whatever you get from that company, but also that there's a good chance there's going to be a return on that. You're not just going to slap the name on the side of the car, take the free parts or whatever it is, and then run. You're going to actively be working as an ambassador for that company to help them sell their products or services as well. In our proposal, some of the things that we do, we show, again, a lot of pictures. Almost every page should have pictures on it. We talk about the different things we go to. We talk about our Instagram profiles. We talk about the different events that we go to. If you've got a picture of your car at a non-racing event, show it. If you've got pictures of you displaying a company's brand someplace, whether it's on the race car or whether it's you wearing the clothes, show that. Show that you get that across. Products, any media coverage. If you can show that you've been on television or in magazines, we include a picture of a magazine article that the car appeared, and you can really clearly see the sponsors on the side of the car in the picture that's in the magazine. That's good stuff to show them. So you want to list some things, but again, graphically, you want to have pictures there that show the story. If no one reads the text on the page, you still want to have some pictures there that show, oh, yeah, these guys do other outside events. They do a good job of showing off the brand. They get media coverage, blah, 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 blah. You can, if you have pictures like that, um, early on when I was just starting out, I would gladly take very, very small sponsorship deals, not necessarily because they helped get the team where it needed to be, but because it gave me an excuse to put a name on the car. I wasn't going to advertise somebody for free. You don't want to get into that habit. But if I got somebody that warranted their name on the side of the car, it gave me a chance to show other companies how I promoted them. And that helped me out a lot. And through that very first sponsorship that I got several others through the networking through that company, and just through the work that I did promoting them. So don't be afraid to take a small deal just to uh, be able to show other companies how you executed that deal. And it's also good practice. It's you're not going to get a big deal right off the bat. It's going to be a small deal, and you just want to have that practice of dealing with companies. You're going to learn from those small deals, and that's going to help you later on when you start talking to bigger companies. I'm going to switch over to the next page after you go into marketing. It's another marketing page, but specifically it talks about sponsorship outreach. So here's where we kind of put some statistics to that. So you can tell people I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on YouTube, but what they really want to know is, okay, so what? So what does that mean for me? Are you, are you hitting the right demographic? Are you hitting the populations that I want to hit? Do you have enough followers? All of those statistics that you get on your metrics that you get on your social media pages, if you have them, and you're going to need to have them, that's where you can start to summarize some of this stuff. So we have, a list here of different countries that tend to be our top following countries to show that we do market outside the United States. We also have, graph at the bottom that says this is our age group distribution. And you want to be transparent. It shows that you're savvy enough to follow this stuff. It shows that you're paying attention to it. And it also helps drive that discussion. Here's where our strengths are. Here's where our weaknesses are. You are coming prepared with the information that we are going to market your brand, and that we understand how that works, and that we have the resources available to do it. So if we promise you a return, we're not just pulling that out of our rear end. We do actually have resources and knowledge of, at hand that we can go off and do the things that we say we're going to do. I've mentioned this several times. You want the proposal to be very graphic heavy. You want to tell the story with pictures. Again, even on this page, we have some text, but you want the graph to sort of speak for itself. And we actually have a page that shows up in the middle of it that is just pictures. And this is a page that, if there's going to be a page that they stop and linger on, there's a good chance it's going to be a page like this. Because again, in these pictures, don't just pick the coolest pictures you've got, but show pictures that show, here, what is this picture showing? This picture of Kylie. It's showing, hey, we've got success, that this is a team that knows how to win. We've got a picture here that shows, the diversity of sports that we're involved in, that we're going to reach a wide range of fans. We've got a picture here on the bottom. Let me lift that up a little bit so you can see it. That shows, here's how we have branding. Even on our in-car cameras, we have branding on, my helmet has branding on it. The dashboard has branding on it. We're going to, every time we post something, there's going to be a logo on it. This picture here, it's a cool picture because I love this picture that my wife took of the A-10 flying in the background at this reserve Air Force base. But again, you can see the logos on the side of the car, and they show, same thing, this picture down here, that we make the graphics visible, that we are going to give you good advertising. Again, up here on this, you can see on Kylie's car, this is I believe her father in the car in the back. Both cars have the sponsors on them. You can see the Safety Clean sponsor on there, Performance Plus, and then some of our other sponsors that we had back then. So we do make sure, and these are the kinds of pictures that we post on social media. So if you put the name on the side of the car, it's not just the people at the track that are going to see it. Our social media audience is going to see it as well. And then we have this awesome picture here of the Indiana Pacemates taking a picture with the car that shows, we get out and we advertise at high profile events away from the track as well. Is this just a cool picture of, an NBA cheer squad? Yeah, but it also shows that, like I said, we had this car out at an event. There were a lot of people at that event. And it was high enough profile that there was an NBA, cheer squad there representing, and we were able to market the car at that event as well. So people that were there. So it's not just stuff at the track, and that's what's important. And so you want every picture that you put in your proposal, you want that picture to say something specific. The picture has to be there for a reason. It has to earn its way in. Don't just plop down any old picture. It's not a space filler. You want every picture to tell a story. Okay, so we're going to continue on to the next section. So after we talk about the things that we do to help promote a company's brand, we also want them to know that we're promoting it in a positive way. And so I like to always have a page in the proposal that talks about some of the charitable events that we do, whether it be charities, community service, whatever. There's a page here that is basically, the purpose of this page is to say you're a good person, you're a good active member of your community, and you're the type of person that this company wants to be associated with on a personal level. I mentioned before, you can win all the races in the world, but if you're someone that's got a criminal record, or, you post a lot of sketchy stuff, you've just, not a real likable person, they're not going to deal with you. But if you're someone who goes out and volunteers in his community, and he's active and he does charity work, they're going to say, hey, that's an upstanding citizen. That's the sort of guy that we want being a brand ambassador for us. But you want the company to know that when you associate with us, that you're associating with somebody that is doing positive things in their community as well. If it's just doing some local volunteer work, if it's visiting the local nursing home, whatever it is, have a page in there that just speaks to you as a person, not as a race driver. It just to say, I'm the kind of human being that you want to be associated with. That's what this page is for. And again, every picture in here has got to, buy its way in. I'm going to jump back to the template for this. Now you're going to get into the bottom line. This is what it costs to sponsor. And one thing you got to be careful about here is, yeah, you can scare somebody away with too big a number if you're too small a team. All right, if you're a small team and you're asking for $500,000, they're going to look at that and say you're out of your gourd. But if you're asking for too little, they're going to say you're not being serious. If you're going there and saying, hey, I just want $100, there's no form of racing where $100 is going to get you very far. So they may also not take you seriously there. And that was one of the pieces of feedback that we got early on when I was just starting out, was that I need to ask for more money. And I said, well, I'm nervous about asking for so much money that they don't give me anything. And someone said, yeah, but if you don't ask for enough, they're not going to think you're seriously into racing, because racing is expensive. And so if you're not asking for much money, then you must not need much money, and therefore you probably don't need their support. So you want to ask for something that's realistic. And again, I have the budget that's several pages further back that substantiates there's a reason I'm asking for these amounts. But at the same time, don't undersell yourself either. Find a number that makes sense, something that's reasonable, something that you feel that you can provide a return on. Say, hey, I want to try and provide my sponsors a 20% return on their investment. So what do you think you can do for them? And then, base that number there. What we find is helpful is we have different levels of sponsorship, and we have companies that come in at different levels. A lot of times a company comes in and just says, hey, this is what we can do. And then they just sort of fall into one of these categories. And one of the things that I always do is, different companies have different needs. And so this is going to be a starting point. Don't make this a hard, fast stone rule that this amount of dollars gets you this type of sponsorship. And under each one of these categories in the space, you're going to want to say, for this sponsorship level, that gets your name on the car, maybe this big, and maybe it's a name on the uniform. And then if you go the next level up, the sponsor is this big, and so on and so forth. You want to put those details in. What do they get? What is a primary sponsorship? What's the difference between an associate and a primary? And you can play with these terms. I picked primary, associate, and supplier. Those are just 3 words. You could have level 1, level 2, level 3. Call it whatever you want. And then, have the dollar amount. So we have this per car because we're a multi-car team. If you're a single car, it doesn't matter, but that's what's going to be important to them. But be prepared to tailor the deal. Make it clear to them when you're talking to a company that, if you have something specific that you want that maybe isn't easy to turn into a dollar amount, you know, what's worth it to you? Maybe there's a certain other type of promotional activity that they want you to do, and they're all willing to offer you something in return that is of value, but may not be real easy to translate into a dollar amount. So something that's important to us is cross promotion. If I can get a company that will cross promote us and help to grow our following, grow our fan base, that's worth something to me. It's very difficult to put a dollar amount on that, but that's worth something to me. And so, you can modify your sponsorship levels based on that, but give companies options. Let companies know that there's different ways that you can work with them to promote their brand. And then you get into the summary. And again, I'm not going to show this page because it has contact information on it for us, so I'll just show you the template. But the summary, again, have some pictures on this page. This can be maybe where you just have a picture that just looks nice. They're probably going to go past this page pretty quickly, but you want to have it because it does contain contact information. You want them to be able to find your information, your email address, phone number, whatever it is, really easily. And that's mainly what this is. But use it as an excuse to also put a nice big picture of the car, maybe a nice big picture of you, and wrap it up with a little statement that's, hey, thanks for taking the time. We appreciate it. We're looking forward to working with you, and things like that. And that's what you want to have there. And then the back is important too. Now, I don't have anything on the back here, but what I would do on the back is, again, we would color match some kind of graphic or picture to the company. Maybe have the company's logo on the back. Maybe it's a picture of your car with the company's logo superimposed on the side. Things like that, showing a company, hey, this is how we would promote your brand on the car. Give them almost an example, like a Photoshop, if you can do that. And make it look nice. If it's not going to look nice, if it's going to look really crappy, then it may hurt you more than it helps you. But if you got some good Photoshop skills, hey, that's a good way to give them an idea of what they might be able to get out of you if they do business with you. So, the back page is important too. Don't just leave it as a blank page. Put something on there. I think on our back page, we just have we have our logo and we just have a message that says join C Squared Racing in 2020. Again, anytime you use your branding, make sure that it looks really good too, because that also tells a company, as I said before, how well you can present a brand in general. And remember that a brand isn't just a logo. A brand is that company's values and that company's messaging. You want to make it clear to a company, and this can be the sort of thing that you type in the sections where you have text, maybe in the introduction, or maybe in the section where you go through the sponsorship packages. You can talk about how you will take the time to learn about the products and services so that you can talk about them almost like a salesman would, that you are going to be a good steward for their brand, because not just their image, their logos, but also their company values. One other thing that I think that's important as we go through this is companies generally, when you're starting out, are going to want to do a 1-year deal. And it's difficult for a team at a grassroots level to provide a significant impact in that first year. If you're a big team and you're talking about a multi-million-dollar deal, yeah, it's reasonable for a company to expect that they're going to get something back from that early on. But for a grassroots team, you want to try and make it clear to a company, hey, here's the benefit of being with us more than 1 year. The first year, you can help us establish a baseline that we can learn about your products. We can, start to get the word out about your products and start to promote that, start to build that brand awareness. And then maybe in year 2 is where you start to see the sales come in. You want to make sure that companies understand that there is benefit to longer relationships. We always offer and we always try and get multi-year deals, or try and at least set up an understanding with the company that we are looking at this long term, not just as a 2020 thing, that we are thinking in 2020 we do this, and then we'll see additional payoff as we go on, as that relationship and that, association between us and the brand gets established, you will see increasing returns on that. You may run into some companies that say, hey, after the first year, we didn't see much of an impact. Unfortunately, that's a short-sighted way to look at it, and sometimes you're going to deal with companies that are like that, and those are probably going to be deals that maybe don't go very far. But you want to give companies an understanding that hey, the longer haul here will probably produce more benefit for you. So stick with us. And again, if you can show them that you're an organization that has their stuff together and that they're organized and that they know what they're doing and that they're good, upstanding community citizens, they're going to be more willing to stay with you year to year. As I said, we've got this template that is available. If anybody wants a copy of it, I know it looks pretty Spartan, but it is essentially just an outline. We did give this template to someone recently, and they were able to turn it into a small sponsorship. So, it can work. It doesn't have to look like ours. It can look like however you want it to look like. You can fix these typos. I just noticed that. Wow, that's been in there a long time. Now we fixed it. Yeah, feel free to fix my typos. Yeah, well, more than happy to give this to anybody who wants it. I hope this video has been helpful. I hope it's given you some tips on how to go about creating one of these. Over time, what companies look for on our proposals may change. The guidance on proposals may change. Right now, this is a pretty good template. But it really has to do with the story that you tell, and that part won't change. That part will always be, explain to a company where your value is, in terms of how can you position them, how can you do a better job of selling to a certain community, a certain demographic, better than they can. Say, hey, I got my boots on the ground, I'm at the racetrack, I can talk to people, I can show people the product at the track better than maybe you can on an internet page. We can introduce your product to young people at a young age and create a brand loyalty from an early age that will continue on, maybe better than someone can do who isn't there present at the events and the facilities and things like that. So that's the way you want to look at it. You got to be thinking about why can I do the job of selling your product, or why can I sell it in a way that maybe you can't sell it. So and that's challenging. If the economy is rough, it's going to be a hard sell, because the money's going to be tight. One of the things we try and say is Grassroots Motorsports is cheaper to sponsor. It's cheaper to sponsor us than it is to sponsor a big NASCAR IndyCar team. And there are some people, even at the amateur levels of racing, that have very big, Twitter followings or Facebook followings. And they can promote to a lot of people, and the company doesn't have to put quite as much money into it as they would if they wanted to get a deal signed with a more well-known driver. TV advertising is very expensive, and only a small percentage of the people watching that TV broadcast are going to turn around and buy your product. But maybe working with you on your social media, maybe you can target your racing friends and say, hey, a lot of my friends would be interested in this product, kind of thing, and I think I can sell these at the track, or I think I can get people interested in your service, or something like that. That's the thing you really want to get across. Tell it in as few words as possible. Charts, graphs, pictures, make it pretty, but make sure that you send that message that you want to send. Make sure that the proposal tells that story. And if you can spend the time to create a cover letter, again, it just looks, even if they don't read it, it looks professional that you did it. It shows them that you're serious and that you're organized and that you got your stuff together. So that's what I would recommend. If anybody has any questions about this, also reach out to us. Like I said, we'll make this template available to anybody who wants it, but also feel free just to reach out with questions. We have contacts throughout Motorsports, professional drivers who have been through this phase, and if we can answer your questions, we can always have them. We can pass your questions on to them and they can help answer. We've got people that are in NASCAR and sports car racing and open wheel racing who can offer a lot of valuable perspective. People that help us as we develop our abilities to market and get sponsorship more effectively. They help us, and then we can pass that knowledge on to you. We're not trying to keep any trade secrets. We're not trying to hide anything from anybody. The point of our existence is to help early career race drivers get that start, get their feet off the ground, and to climb up that ladder, to greater and greater success. So anything that we've learned, we are more than happy to pass on to you guys. So please reach out to us, ask us questions. If there's anything that we can do to help you guys out, please let us know, and we are happy to do that. If this package is going to be helpful to you, we'll send it out to you. And other than that, that's all we've got for you today. So we're glad that you spent some time. I know this video went a little long. I try and keep them a little shorter than this, so I apologize for that, but I hope it was worth your time if you did sit through it and watched all the way to the end. And if you did, thank you very, very much. Please like and subscribe to the channel. We're going to have more videos like this that we hope will also be helpful. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. I hope you all have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you on the next lap.